Hi, everybody. I'm Dr. Melissa Bird, and you're here for another episode of the Thinnest Veil podcast. I'm so glad that you're here. And I'm really, really super excited about our guest today. Um, will you introduce yourself and tell people who you are and where you're from and what you do and all the things?
Wonderful, wonderful. Well, I'm Anat, and I'm an inner child expert and somatic healer, and I work with coaches, healers, and leaders who've done a lot of personal growth, but still find themselves or their clients repeating the same emotional or relational patterns. And I teach them my proven method that blends inner child reparenting, nervous system work, and personality pattern awareness so they can finally understand what's really driving behavior and help their clients create lasting transformation. So it's basically taking the heavy lifting and guesswork out of their coaching.
Oh, that's so delightful. How did you get into inner child work?
So I've been in the space in the self-development space for 20 going on 21 years actually, end of this month. And when I started out, I mean, I think you remember what was available 20 years ago when it
Yep.
came to self-development. It was not what we have today and all the options. It was a lot of mindset work, NLP work, and I was deeply seeking my own healing, and I was in that for like 8 years. And
Mhm.
at the time, you don't think that like there's more. You think this is it. This is great. This is it. Except for my experience was like trimming weeds. It was like constant managing of myself with not a lot of change in my life.
Mhm.
And um, I, 8 years in, had a lot of awareness
Yeah.
of my shit, but my life still didn't look transformed.
Mhm.
And I like hit my rock bottom around that time, 8, 9 years in, and left a 5 year relationship where I was super codependent, had like no self-love and no idea that I didn't have self-love, and left my life in New York City and bought a one-way ticket to California with $2,000 to my name, no job, no car, no home, no plan, one best friend here who said I could stay with her. You can imagine my parents were pretty freaking out about that move, but I needed to do it for me. And that was 13 years ago. And through that, like breaking off from that life and coming here, I started to explore other things of like yoga, meditation, plant medicine, and eventually was led to a body mind psychologist who uh, was trained in the Hoffman Institute, the Hoffman process in the 70s. And he was the one that introduced me to inner child work. He was the one that was like, "You're different. You're here for finishing touches. You have a lot of awareness." I'm like, "You have no idea how sick I am of managing the same shit over and over again." And working with him was my first experience of what I consider real transformation, which is not aha, popcorn, light bulb moments. That's just the beginning. It's a walk through a burning forest and there's dragons to slay.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I felt things, I felt emotions that I never thought I had or wanted to have, and really learned to unlearn what I learned from mom and dad and reparent myself and have this new connection to myself where I actually enjoyed my own company for the first time in my life
Mhm.
and wasn't anxious being alone. So, um, so working with him after that was like my awakening and my desire to just for the first time quit my job and go travel by myself and just be with me and write and create and play and have love affairs and all the things. I went to Maui and Kauai and it was delicious. And then towards the end of that travel, I had this feeling of like I really want to bring this to other people.
Mhm.
Like I finally feel the inner peace and freedom that I've always wanted. And damn it, other people need this. They need to know what I've been seeking for 10 years because they're probably still seeking it as well. And so that's a a bit more than what you asked for, but that's really how I got into the inner child work. And um, I think it's still uh, a a foreign concept for a lot of people,
Yeah.
or they think that like inner child work is look yourself in the mirror and tell myself, I love myself, I love myself, I love myself. And although there's nothing wrong with doing that, there's so much more. There's such depth and healing and opportunity and what it actually means to reparent that relationship with yourself and the relationship with how you show up in the world. So,
Yeah, I can imagine that it's really profoundly connecting for people because, you know, when you go through a process of healing yourself and honoring the concept of parenting um as not something that is destructive, but as something that you are healing. I
hmm
I I feel like that also it must really connect people also to the world around them and to the land and like to a much more whole world view about their existence in the world. Um,
yeah.
I talk a
Yeah.
lot about the four bodies, the spiritual body, the mental body, the emotional body, and the physical body, and how those are connected to the earth body and how we're all woven together. I'm wondering if you could talk a little bit about as as you yourself went through your process of it sounds like a beautiful, amazing adventure. How have you found that those bodies have also, like either for you or your clients, like how have those bodies also experienced a reconnection to themselves and to the planet?
Oh, profoundly. I mean, it really is. Well, the work that I teach is the body and the mind working cohesively together.
Mhm.
There's a lot of work out there where it's just mindset and all that, or it's
Right.
just the somatics and all that, both great, but to like bring the two together and to become aware of the emotions and how to move those emotions, how to feel the energy, how to express it again, and how to start to relate to ourselves and what we say to ourselves and being kind and generous with our dialogue to ourselves. So obviously it starts with self, but the shift that I've seen with myself and with my clients over the years in it being an awakening to not just of self, but to really humanity and how we see ourselves and others. Um, I mean, I've had students that like leave their profession, sell their businesses because they see how much what they chose out in the world was misaligned with who they really are. And are you familiar with spiral dynamics or integral theory? Have you heard of that?
A little bit. If you want to
A
explain
little
it
bit.
to folks, that would be helpful.
Yeah, I'll try. I'm not an expert in it, but I'll try and give it in like layman's terms, like a third grader. So, and anybody could Google like spiral dynamics, integral theory, and you'll see a chart, like a graph that really it matches what I'm about to explain. But it talks about that there's different levels of consciousness for humanity and that it's like a spiral that
Mhm.
you can move up and that at every level is um, a group of people that all have a similar belief and way of showing up in the world. And at the lowest level of consciousness, for example, that group are gang members, gangs, right? Things like that, where they have that they are a community and they have a shared view of life. And there's people that have been in prison or former gang members that now are, you know, teachers and authors and all that. How did they get to that? They they did their own healing work. They awakened themselves. They rose, their consciousness rose. And as it did, they moved into another level in the spiral. And so, that's like the lowest level. And then there's and either spiral dynamics or integral theory, one of them shows it as colors. So
Mm,
it's like red, and then you have like those that fall into the blue, which might be everyone that believes in just like the indoctrination of religion and that shared thing. And it's not to say that people can't be mixed in both, but for most part, there's a level of consciousness to that community. And then there's like the level of where a lot of my clients over the years came from, which was what they call orange, which is those that are into business, making money, corporate America, material world, all that. And what I noticed as they went through their healing work is that they shed that identity and they moved into what is above that level, which is, they call it green, which is those that are more into um, uh, peace, love, right? The community of activism, of being all about um, community and connection and like the 60s, like love and light. We all love each other.
mm,
And how many of them went from like being about having the Rolex and this and then that, the like me, look at me, I'm good enough because I have all these material things, or I'm trying to be good enough by continuing to make more and more money, to healing that and seeing that, oh, no, 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 like I want to give to others.
mhm,
And so, um, that's really where I see the experience of, as you do this healing work, you do go from being about the me, and a lot of times it's the wounded me,
mhm,
to loving yourself and therefore being open, not only open to loving others, but feeling safe in the world, because safety isn't something to get out there. It is something to learn how to work with your nervous system to cultivate that. And with that safety, that leads to more self-love, that leads to a more open heart, an ability to live out in the world with an open heart, vulnerable therefore, but knowing that no matter what happens, I have the resiliency and the tools and the emotional capacity to recover from that. So if I'm going to live in the world, I don't want to be afraid of others or competing with others. I want to I want to include others. I want to be in community with others.
mm. Yeah, I think it's really interesting. I feel like so often, especially right now, just with everything that's happening in the world,
Hmm.
um, just the people are so very much craving community and connection. And I talk a lot about self-love and self-compassion and how when we love ourselves and we're compassionate towards ourselves, then we're better able to give love and compassion to others, which
Yeah.
is a selfish act. It's actually an act of reciprocity and connecting with others. Um, this question keeps popping into my head, so I'm just going to ask it because
Do it.
so how do you um I was actually just listening to a podcast about the self-help community and um I listen to a podcast called A Little Bit Culty, which makes me really happy. How do you
I'll have to check it out. A
Oh
little
my
bit
God, I love A
culty.
Little Bit
Great.
Culty. It's really good. But I've been thinking a lot about how the self-help community can turn into a very, very culty behavior, right? Very dysfunctional
Yes.
behavior.
Yes.
And I'm wondering, I guess part of what I'm wondering is how do you help people see that this isn't what that is? And also, how have your clients and your community, you tried to find the magic pill, right? To fix things. Have you
Mhm.
ever had interactions with folks who got drawn into something that actually wasn't healing at all? It was,
Oh, absolutely.
I'm
Absolutely. So
curious
to answer,
how your how your people how you stay out of, I mean, that world when we so easily can get sucked into that world. Does that make
yeah,
sense?
yeah, yeah, absolutely. I'll start with just a quick response to that and then cover
Yeah.
all of it. Discernment. And again, the more connection you have to yourself and to your intuition and to not not seeking it outside of yourself.
Mhm.
Like I tell people, I'm like, listen, you work with me, I'm your mentor, I'm your guide. I'm not going to heal you.
Right.
You are going to have to do the heavy lifting and the work.
Right. Yeah.
So I'm just guiding you in that. And I make that very clear. And I'm also someone that's like, I don't want you hanging around me for a year. Like if you're
Yeah.
still in the same place, I'm definitely gonna lovingly call you forward and call you out because this isn't there was a woman that inquired about my certification program a few months ago, and she's done two other ones and she's done this and she's done that. And I was like, I'm not even offering you my programs. I was like, because you're just avoiding being the one doing the work. You have everything you need. You just need to do it and do it for you. So no, I don't want you in my program. So I think it's partly that, but to go back to your first question of um, that the toxicity in the industry. I mean, there's a shadow and a light in everything in life, right? And this industry, just because it's self-development, it isn't um, exempt from that.
Right.
And um, and I think that for the most part, every leader of an organization has good intentions. But again, they could only see what they see based on their level of healing. And I mean, I've I could see it in them immediately. Like you put me in front of a leader, if I spend a day with them in their workshop or whatever, I'll tell you if they are fully in their authentic self or the pattern and the strategy that's still showing up as they're still working on healing, right?
Mhm.
Because those patterns aren't bad. Those patterns have a shadow and a light too, and there could still be some of that in there. And so, I think they're all trying to do their best, but at the end of the day, what creates that cultishness or that toxicity is the same thing that creates it in corporations. It starts at the top.
Yeah.
It starts at the top.
Yeah.
And there are definitely narcissists running multiple
Oh yeah.
six-figure influencer type
Yep.
in this industry.
Yeah.
And I still think that they mean well. There's just still something that's hidden from their view. And yeah, and they run a pattern where they like to be in the spotlight and be the one and have a following and keep having a following. And it just is what it is. And so I think it is for the individual to have discernment. And I mean, this is the first thing I say to anyone that joins my programs. I'm like, take me off the pedestal right now. I do not want to be pedestalized. I do not want you to idolize me. You can look up to me as someone who's just ahead of you. You can respect me. You can listen to me when I give you coaching and advice because this is what you're paying me for, but take me off the pedestal. I'm still very much human. And my challenge with some leaders, because I know a lot of them because I've been in the industry a long time. And so I know things that they don't talk about publicly. And it just, yeah, you see where they want to pretend like they're they have it all together. And I'm like, no, air some of your shit. Or if you don't want to air the detail of it, fine, but stop acting like your shit don't stink.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
that's not healthy for for the followers and for your clients because they'll feel like they can never reach that because we're always a work in progress to some degree.
Yeah. Absolutely. What are some of your favorite um wins, or what are some of your favorite things that you've been able to teach people that that have shown you that that the world is divine and there's divinity in the world. And like, what, as you've watched your clients grow and expand, what are your favorite things that you've noticed about the process that you're teaching people?
Mm. Um, I'd say what comes top of mind right now is when people learn again what it is to connect to their feelings and actually express their feelings. I had a discovery call with a woman this morning that she's like, I'm so disconnected. Like, I don't even know what I feel. And if I did, like, I wouldn't even know how to feel it. And that's where we've gotten to.
Mhm.
You know, I talk about part of it in my TED talk that I did earlier this year, but how many of us are like that lost that we don't even know how to feel what we feel, like actually feel it, and that we're not feeling. Even the people when they do have an emotion, they're not feeling it. They're judging it. They're they're questioning it. They're stuffing it down. They're running from it. They're analyzing. They're doing anything but actually expressing it. And we have overcomplicated it,
Mhm.
like to the 10th degree that it's like a riddle for people. You have
Mhm.
10 people here and ask them this question and it'll feel like a riddle to them.
Yeah.
And the simplicity that I've been able to give to it, and then people put it into practice, and the shift that they feel, not only like in their power to now know, but in the fact that if you're not feeling your feelings, you cannot live your life regulated. You
Mhm.
are living in a constant dysregulated state because your nervous system has to protect you from what you're saying is not okay to feel or
Yeah.
unpleasant or I don't want to.
Right.
And so if it's protecting you from that, then you're always in that
That's right.
protective
Yeah.
temper state. And so that freedom for people to feel safe and open and regulated again, and the expansion that comes from, oh my God, I've been running from this feeling for years. I story comes to mind. I had a client, this was about 6 years ago, that he was in his 50s. He tried everything. He did every plant medicine, he did everything, worked with everyone to try and get rid of this pain in his heart because his
Mhm.
father was murdered. He was four.
Mhm.
And this, heartache that he had, trying to get rid of it, trying to get rid of it. And when we worked together, I had him do the opposite. I had him be with it,
Yeah.
name it, experience it, express it. And within 20 minutes, he said to me, holy shit, I never thought something that I've been running from my whole life could feel so good. He experienced ecstasy
Yeah.
because bliss is any feeling felt all the way through. He experienced that bliss. So I think that's the biggest thing that I enjoy giving people. And I'm happy to give it here. If people are like, what are these steps? I want to know. I can
Yeah,
talk about
I'm going to get into that in just a second, but I really want to amplify for people who are listening. Like, I remember the first time I stopped shoving my feelings away, right? Like, and I had created this little inner child of me, right? This little
it.
girl. I was like, listen, sis, you go read a book and have a cookie and a whoopee. Like, I could see where I would put her, right? Like, I'm all, you go over here. I got shit to do.
Yeah.
And I remember one day I was like, what am I doing? Like, I'm all, come here. Let me give you a hug. Let's talk. What's going on? Right? Like I'm having this inner dialogue with myself. Um, and it really like diminished her capacity to sabotage my life, you know? And I think there's something so poignant and powerful about embracing the things we've been running away from our whole lives. And I think it
Yep.
would heal a hell of a lot more grief, which I think is what so many people are dealing with is unresolved grief.
Yes.
I think it would just change so much. Before you get into the steps, I'm curious, do people have an emotion that's more difficult for them to admit they have?
It depends on the person and it depends what you were raised with. So there's no good or bad emotion. There's
Right.
actually pleasant and unpleasant,
Right.
high energy or low energy. So it
Mhm.
could be pleasant, high energy, pleasant, low energy, unpleasant, high energy, unpleasant, low. Is really like the spectrum of it. And if you grew up in a household where you know, chaos was the familiar energy and emotion, or, it was safe to like express anger, or dad expressed anger, was always yelling, and you either copied or you rebelled. So it's like, it's a decision that I think we make at a young age of like what's familiar in our system. And I have clients that they're scared to feel joy.
Yeah. Yeah.
To embrace being happy, like to actually take time and celebrate themselves is harder than moping and feeling sad and complaining. Oh, they'll bathe in that.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So it really just depends on the individual. It's fascinating. Yeah.
So interesting. All right. Tell
For
us
me,
about
it was
that.
anger. For me, it was anger. I used to say anger. I don't get angry until I realized, oh no, no, anger is something that like I bury
Yeah.
deep as like, no, 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 you don't go there. Right. I rebelled from how my mom used to express it or my dad, and my brother copied. And now I have a healthy relationship with it.
Yeah.
So, but that was one that I was like, no, don't want to ever show that side. Uh-uh.
Yeah. Tell us about the
Yeah.
steps.
Okay, cool. So, hmm. First and foremost, you want to think of your emotions as like an ocean of your emotions, and every emotion is a wave. And just like if you were a surfer and you got in the ocean, you can't control the waves that come. And so that's something to remember when we think that we could, that like when we're judging and like, why do I feel this way? Or I don't want to feel this way, is like standing in the ocean and being like, why this wave? Why now? Why this size? Next thing you know it, you get smacked with it. And so to see it as like it's an ocean of your emotions. Now, before you get into the ocean, if you've ever watched a surfer, get ready to get into the ocean. You'll see them do two things. You'll see them put on their wetsuit, especially if they're here on the West Coast, the cold Pacific Ocean, and you'll see them stretch, right? Warm up their body before they get in there. And so before we can feel safe and even allow, because for some of us, we've numbed it, we've frozen it, like emotions, what emotions are not even there because you're so disconnected. You have to first create that connection and cultivate safety. And I have a free guided breath work and somatic practice on this that I could give the link to, but to really build that connection to wake up the body again, and then to start to speak to the nervous system. Because your
Mhm.
nervous system is the one that said, oh, but you told me to protect you from this. So I've
Yes.
been protecting you all these years from this. And now you have to start to speak to it in its language.
Yeah.
And the language of the nervous system is sensations. So when you're like, I don't know what emotion I feel, but there's a tightness in my chest and my throat, and it feels heavy and hot, whatever way you can name it. And it's not about getting it perfect. It's about in that moment, you are bringing curiosity and you're activating the right side, the right brain hemisphere. You're activating that part. You're working with both the sensations that are there and giving it language. And if you're curious about something, that means you're safe. Because
Right. Right.
if there's a tiger behind door number 2, you're not opening it. But if it's not a tiger, and you're like, oh, what is behind door number 2? You're going to get in there. So that starts to signal when you name the sensations, you're signaling to the nervous system that, hey, this is safe. Come get curious with me. Let's work together on this.
Yeah.
Now you've done some breath work, right? You've regulated, you've scanned your body, you're naming sensations, and it doesn't have to be sensations of where you're feeling discomfort.
Mhm.
I always start with sensations like notice your feet and the temperature of your feet.
Yes,
Now,
I love
now
that
play,
one.
now place one hand on top of the other. Notice the temperature between your hands. Now inhale through your nose. Notice the temperature as you take that inhale. Right there, it's bringing you to sensations that you can name, and you're starting to create that safety.
Well, and it strikes me that you're also talking about embodiment, right? Like so often we live in this disembodied space where we don't feel our body. So when you're encouraging people to put a hand on a hand, like
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
body the body,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Exactly.
I love that.
Exactly. Exactly. So that's how we're starting to wake up. This is the warm up before we get into the ocean of your emotions. So now you've done all that, you get in the ocean, and whether it's you're already present to some emotion that's there or not. If you're not, then think of a story. Think of something that recently happened that triggered you. Um, or pull up something called the mood meter. If you Google mood meter and images, you'll see many different images. It's from Yale University, and it was created to expand our emotional vocabulary.
Mhm.
So, because our emotional vocabulary, that's the other problem. I'm sad, I'm angry,
Yeah.
I'm horny, I'm happy.
Yeah, we
Like
have
that's
like
it.
five emotions. Yeah.
When and well, are you, so when you look at this and you're like, well, what am I feeling right now? Or what feeling have I been avoiding? Oh, there's sad. But next to sad, there's disheartened, there's lonely, there's discouraged, disappointed. And each one feels slightly different
Yeah.
in the body.
Yeah.
And so I like to use that for myself or with my clients to get more accuracy so you can create more connection to what you're feeling.
Yeah.
And so once you have that, whether it's immediate or it takes a little bit of time, whatever it is, and you can name it, then I want you to imagine that you're a 3 year old. And if you look at a 3 year old and you tell them, we're going to Disneyland next week, they're going to be overjoyed, excited. But they're
Yep.
not going to come over to you and say, I am so excited.
Yeah. No, they're not.
They're not going to be robotic and suppressed like us adults are. They're going to start running around, jumping on the couch, probably screaming, yelling with excitement. So, this is what it is to express. There's some kind of body language, talking about embodiment here, right? There's some body language to it. There's some kind of facial expression, and there's some sound that gets emoted. And it's the same thing that now we get to remember. Oh, this is what it was, how I used to express my emotions before I was taught to suppress them.
Mm.
And so you do that as if you were an actor. When actors go in for an audition, there's 100 people auditioning for the same role with the same exact script of words. Same
Yep.
words. What's the difference? How each of them expresses it using their body, the right facial expression, the right tone of voice, right to evoke the emotion behind the lines.
Hmm.
So it's the same thing.
Yeah.
And you do it for set a timer for about 90 seconds. There was a Harvard trained neuroscientist, Dr. Jill Bolt Taylor, that did a study on this that you can move through an emotion in 90 seconds when you're not judging it, running from it, stuffing it
Right.
down. And you can see this with children too. If you actually validate and acknowledge what they're feeling, they'll they'll move through it.
Yeah,
And
we're
if
the
they
ones who
don't,
don't get over it.
yes, if they don't, it's only because they have multiple waves.
Yeah.
Like they're sad, then they're annoyed, and then they're tired. And so
Right.
you call it a tantrum. They're just expressing all the energy that's moving through them.
Yeah.
Just like a surfer in the ocean, sometimes they catch a wave and it brings them all the way to shore. Sometimes it crashes and they have to ride another wave to get home. But you set a timer, and within those 90 seconds, you'll see that that energy moves, and then either you are back to homeostasis or there's something underneath that. Like underneath the anger, there's grief, right? And so for 90 seconds, you express it as if you're about to get paid $1 million for that Oscar winning performance.
Yeah.
Be that 3 year old. And at first, ooh, what is that? At first, like maybe for some people, the first 20, 30 seconds feels like they're faking it. I'm
Hmm.
like, so what? Keep going, because then they break through it.
Hmm.
It's that resistance. It's also like when a surfer first hops on the board on the wave, it's a little wobbly. They don't know if they're gonna make it. And then they finally land in it and they're so connected to that wave with their board. So that's what it looks like. And what's happening in those 90 seconds on like a nervous system standpoint is that you're retraining your nervous system for this energy, this frequency, because you're embodying it. You're not trying to get rid of it. You're not 90 seconds, let me express it to get rid of it. You're more 90 seconds, I'm going to let it take all of me. I'm going to let it be the star of the show. And it's like you're giving all this data of how this energy feels and moves to your nervous system. And it goes from this is unfamiliar, unsafe, I need to protect her every time this comes up to this is normal, which is why for some people, they feel certain emotions as just normal for them, no big deal, and others as unpleasant, uncomfortable. So this expands that range. And it's important to expand that range because your nervous system responds 10 times faster than your conscious mind. So in zero point 0.2 seconds, your nervous system responds.
Yeah.
In 10 seconds, it reaches your conscious awareness.
Yeah.
So when you train it for these, a lot of the times in the future, when it arises again, it just gets metabolized and moves through so quickly without taking away your presence
Right.
and your focus to that. You don't get stuck with it. It continues to move through you, and you become someone who has emotional resilience, energetic resilience, a body that is flowing with energy and not and a nervous system that is constantly regulating as opposed to getting stuck and having to be dysregulated.
One of the things that really strikes me too as I'm listening to you talk is knowing that you understand the West Coast and the water and the ocean is how grounded and rooted you are in that metaphor of the ocean. I think it's really beautiful. I just wanted to say that. Like
Thank you.
I think the land is such a healer and such a teacher, and I think it's really beautiful that this is how you have created this practice for yourself and for your clients. There's something
Mm,
very powerful and poignant about you, this acknowledgement of the power of preparing to just catch the next wave and catch the next wave. You know what I mean? I think that's
yeah.
really beautiful. I just wanted to say that because it
Thank
really
you.
struck me how much where you are physically on the planet has also really deeply impacted this spiritual practice for you. And it's
Thank you. Yeah, yeah. I use that metaphor as well as like you are a garden. It's like my two key areas is like either an actor with a script or like you are a garden and there's weeds in your garden and like are you tending to yourself?
yeah.
And the ocean and like thinking of your inner child or for those parents listening right now and you're like, well, what do I do with my kid when they have an emotion? You imagine that they're in the ocean learning to surf and you're on the land.
And
What
you
would you
get
what
in.
what your job would be to cheer them on,
Yeah.
right? Like you
You can do it, buddy. Good job.
not, hey, no, avoid that one. Avoid that
Boy,
one.
I
What
need
do
you to
you
talk
do?
to all the parents in the grocery store um,
Uh-huh.
at 5 p.m. Um,
Yeah.
Thank you so much. That what a beautiful practice. It's really interesting because it's about the third time I've heard something similar today. So I'm also paying attention because I always
Oh,
know
okay.
that spirit is trying to say, chill out, kid. Like you got this. It's okay.
Yeah.
I've had a lot of emotion today, so I really thank you for that.
Oh,
I'm gonna
feel the
pray.
emotion. Yeah, ride the
Yeah. I
wave.
mean, I'm feeling the emotions. I don't really have a choice, but I just really appreciate how you explained it anyway,
Yeah,
it's lovely. Um,
thank you. Yeah.
if people want to learn more about your programs or the work that you do in the world, what's the best way for them to find you?
Yeah. So, if they're on social media, I hang out mainly on Instagram. I post content on there. And if you follow me, you'll get a private message from me because I love getting to know the human behind the follower. I'm a wealth of knowledge and resources, whether it's my own or someone else, and we're all here to help each other out. If you specifically want to know about my programs, my website is trainingcampforthesoul.com, and everything's on there, including that freebie, Cultivating Safety, Breathwork, and Somatic Practice. So download that. It's life changing, I've been told. And yeah, and then we could always hop on a call and discover more. So that's
That's
it.
so lovely. And thank you for sharing where people can find you. Before you go, what is one thing that's bringing you joy right now?
Mm. One thing. Geez, choosing one thing. Mm. Um, uh, Being grounded at home.
Mm.
Like I've traveled so much in the past 2 years, like almost every month. Last holiday we went away to Spain, or we're always going somewhere, and I'm just like in a season of just like hibernating and like incubating with my husband and just yeah, just what brings me joy is literally not leaving my house.
That's good. That's really
And
good.
luckily I get enough connection through my online community and all that. So but yeah, that yeah, just slowing down and not getting on a plane.
That's so great. Well, thank you so much for being with me today. It was a really beautiful
Yeah.
conversation, and I just am so happy to
Yeah.
learn more about all the things you're doing in the world too. So thank
Oh,
you so much. I'm
thank you, Dr. Melissa, for having me. Yeah.
you. For those of you who are listening or watching, don't forget to go over to drmelissabird.com and check out the rituals I've got going on for winter solstice and for the wheel of the year. Thank you so much for being here once again, and thank you so much for being my guest. I appreciate it. Have a beautiful afternoon.
Thank you.